Hey guys, yes, I am still at it. Takes me a long time to do some of these things. It's been raining. It's going to rain some more. It's a way of keeping me busy. So, what I'm looking at, I told you I'd come back with this Ezekiel business. We have already gone through a part of the Ezekiel. Well, what happens is a hand comes out to Ezekiel, and the hand has some food, has a roll on it, and it's the same story as when in Revelations we have the Apostle Paul telling this story as an angel that was that appeared before him with his foot on one land and his foot in the water, but in his hands he held a little book. And when he opened the book, these little thunders happened, 7 little thunders. And of course, the apostle was there to take notes. And he was told by God not to write anything down on this one here. But here it is, it's Ezekiel, and we're talking about the Old Testament. And God is handing Ezekiel this little book, and he's asking him to eat it. And then it goes about telling them that it's going to be very sweet on your lips. And a little later in the story winds up being very bitter on the stomach. All right, so that's the lead into this story, okay? And there's some interesting things that happen around on 4, which I have to go through a bunch of it myself. I'm going to go through it again to understand it better, but it's about the Ezekiel bread business, where, everyone has to eat shit, or cooked from shit, It's one of the oddest parts of the Bible, and I could probably tear it up if I want to go through it. Well, I just found my dyslexic brain going back and forth, so it's gonna take me a few minutes to fix that one. But in number 5, if you were doing, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on the computer here. It says, let's just listen to number 5, okay? And lend an ear to this, all right? Because it's talking about 5 would be our bodies.
Chapter 5. And thou, son of man, take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass upon thine head and upon thy beard. Then take thee balances to weigh, and divide the hair. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city, when the days of the siege are fulfilled. And thou shalt take a third part, and smite about it with a knife, and a third part thou shalt scatter in the wind, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thou shalt also take thereof a few in number, and bind them in thy skirts.
All right. All of this idea is that they've divided everything into a third. And remember, this is the hair. The hair part of this is a Nazareth. He says, when you come to me, this is what you're going to do. And remember, they tell you that one is going to be like for one's you're supposed to catch it afire and send this up as some kind of offering, a wave offering, something like that. But anyways, this is mentions of the Nazarene coming in here, and it's also about this wrath that comes about. Okay, let's see what happens. He's going to halt the 4 winds.
And cast them into the midst of the fire, and burn them in the fire. For thereof shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord God, this is Jerusalem. I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her, and she hath changed my judgments into wickedness more than the nations, and my statutes more than the countries that are round about her. For they have refused my judgments and my statutes, they have not walked in them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because ye multiplied more than the nations that are round about you, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgments, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you, Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I, even I, am against thee, and will execute judgments in the midst of thee in the sight of the nations, and I will do in thee that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more the like, because of all thine abominations. Therefore, the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of thee, and the sons shall eat their fathers.
Have you ever heard such sayings before? That in the midst of the sons have got to eat their fathers, and the fathers have got to eat their sons. So that's very interesting, but that's what we are doing. That's what happens. It's the idea that if you lived on the outside, your child is never born. It's a situation where you're feeding your baby to Baal. That's where Baal comes in, the whole idea. Even if they really did worship Baal and stuff like that in the outside world and stuff, it's symbolically what you do. You give up your child. You spare that child. You feed it to Baal.
And I will execute judgments in thee, and the whole remnant of thee will I scatter into all the winds. Wherefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, surely, because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, and with all thine abominations, therefore will I also diminish thee. Neither shall mine eye spare, neither will I have any pity. A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine shall they be consumed in the midst of thee. And a third part shall fall by the sword round about thee. And I will scatter a third part into all the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thus shall mine anger be accomplished, and I will cause my fury to rest upon them. And I will be comforted, and they shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken it in my zeal, when I have accomplished my fury in them. Moreover, I will make thee waste, and a reproach among the nations that are round about thee, in the sight of all that pass by. So it shall be a reproach, and a taunt, and instruction, and an astonishment unto the nations that are round about thee. When I shall execute judgments in thee in anger, and in fury, and in furious rebukes, I, the Lord, have spoken it. When I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, and which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave thee, and pestilence, and blood shall pass through thee, and I will bring the sword upon thee. I, the Lord, have spoken it. Chapter 6.
All right, that was 5. Now, it's going to bring on pestilence. It's going to bring on the sword. The sword is next because he's going to cut you in half. It sounds really terrible and nasty, but it's a good thing. This whole idea of going that route is a good thing, but the part that I was hoping to get to you is that it's the third, that you've been cut into thirds again, and it's the same story, but it's being told differently, but it's all going to come about with the same outcome. And so that's the part that I wanted you to listen to, and we heard it there in Ezekiel number 5 about the body, about the and it's the body that goes through this. That's how we're ashes, and the star, the five senses, Lucifer, all these things all fall on number 5. And as always, this Bible is following the code beautifully, and we'll find that stories repeat themselves over and over again. But the names change to protect the innocents, and that these the stories, the stories, they connect together very nicely. This is how it is that, without the knowledge of without the knowledge of the code, we have a way of back checking everything that we say. We can go to a 5 or to a 6 or to a 3 or to a whatever. We'll say it has to say this or this. If it doesn't have this on here or that on there or mention it, we can pretty much say that that wasn't true anymore. That's what pulls the Islamic texts, blows them right out of the water, because they're not following the text. But you could find that, yes, it follows in the Tao, it follows in the Buddhist writings, all these things, Judaism and Christianity and Jainism, all of these places, all these religions are fronting this knowledge of the number system through and through, just as we are reading our Bibles, just as we are figuring out how, and this is the map. This is how you pull the spiritual side out of all of these religions. This is how you pull them out. This is the exact what it takes to harness the spiritual side of all these religious texts. That's how you know things are working out perfectly. That's how, I gotta admit that I choke up here and there, and sometimes ain't all that clear, but most of the information is there anyways, and it fits like gloves. It works like clockwork. They fit into each other beautifully. I can't help you see it any clearer than what I'm trying to do now. And maybe I can, because as I grow up and learn more about the Bible, reading more and hearing more references to the different symbolisms, that I'm able to tell you that I'll be able to tell you better in an easier form. Because I know when I first started out, it was a lot of knowledge, a lot of things being crammed into me and out of my mouth at one time. And now it can be like, this can be like maneuvered this way, and that can be maneuvered this way, and I can blend them all together in some kind of fashion towards the end of the story. Well, I'm not going to be clever, but I am going to try to be a little more easier to understand when it comes down to learning about the spiritual side of our Bibles and other texts that support God. All right. So anyways, I just thought it'd be neat to show you how Ezekiel is talking about the same wrath, the same things that can happen. He's got the knife, he's going to stick it into stuff, you just listen, put your ear to it, and yes, there is revelations right there in the Old Testament. Right there. All along. And, I bet we'll hear it again, and we'll hear it again, and we'll hear it again if we get a chance. All right. We'll see you guys.